I'm kind of scared that I've forgotten how to do this. Not gonna lie, we're gonna pull through. Also, new location. I really wanted to film here. I don't know if I'm gonna continue filming here. This is kind of like my test run. But I really wanted to film in front of my new bookshelf because now I have space to, you know, display things, which is fun. Yeah, I don't know where 2020 went.
I meant 2022.
All I know is that it was a good reading. Was it a good reading year? It was a good reading year for me. I read the most books I've ever read in my whole entire life, which is 152. Now, pause. I will preface this by saying that at least 60 of those were manga. Because I read so many books, it was only fair to do the top 10 books I read in 2022. And I thought it was going to be really hard to pick books. Turns out, not that hard. So I have my top 10 books, but also I wanted to add some honorable mentions that didn't fit the list, but were also really close to fitting the list. So we're going to start off with those. So the first honorable mention is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Now listen, I know a lot of people don't like this book, and that's fine, but I like it. I liked the writing, it was fun. I will say, I didn't like the side characters very much. I thought they were very annoying. But that's besides the point. I really liked Olive. I loved Adam Carlson. So that's my first honorable mention. I read that book in a day. I devoured it. Next honorable mention is probably you can see one volume over here and the little figures, but that is Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a manga series. I only read up to volume 14, but this is volume 4. This is my favorite volume so far. I loved this series, but because I didn't fully read it, and also I have another manga series that I enjoyed more. Spoilers! I decided to include this one in my honorable mentions because I did love it. Oh my god, my hair. I did love it. It just didn't really fit my list of top 10. But yes, take a look at the cover. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's beautiful. I also think this man is very beautiful. So next book in my honorable mentions is Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book had a really slow start. It had a really slow start. It's also the second book in a series, but I decided to read it first because of course I did. And once it took off, it took off. Okay, it was really good. It had lots of good, I feel like, conversations that needed to be had with like anxiety and stuff like that. So I really loved it. If you don't know what this is about, it's basically about this girl named Dani, and she's asking the universe for a hint, hence the title, Take a Hint, Dani Brown, because she doesn't really want to be in a relationship. She doesn't believe in relationships, but she needs a really good fuck buddy, basically. So she's asking the universe for one, and she works at this school, I think, or college. I just read the back. She's a PhD student. And this guy right here, Zafir, works as a security guard at this university. So they meet up and stuff like that, and then because this one thing happens where she gets stuck in an elevator because there's a drill going on at their building, she's stuck in the elevator and he rescues her, and as he carries her out, people are filming and that video goes viral. And they decide to fake date because he needs the publicity, and I don't know what her reasoning was, but they start fake dating, and it's really fun, and I loved it. The humor takes like a little bit to get used to, at least for me, but I still really, really loved it, and I highly recommend this series, not just this book, but this is in my honorable mentions. And then the last book in my honorable mentions is The Finisher by Runix. It's a part of the Darkverse series by her. I really liked this book, but there are other books in this series that I enjoyed more. So I'm putting this one in my honorable mentions. I love this one. I don't think I can tell you what it's about without spoiling it, because you kind of have to read the series in order because it has one plot line that's in like all of them. The last book isn't out yet. It's gonna be out this year, and that one's gonna be called The Syndicator. It's gonna finish off the whole plot and story and stuff like that. I know the guy is named Alpha, and then the girl is Zaf or something like. Oh, hold on a second. But yeah, I loved them. They were a really cute couple, and also the dogs. The dogs were so cute. There's 3 dogs. If anything, read it for the dogs, but also check trigger warnings because it's like a dark mafia romance series, so just be safe, okay? Those are the honorable mentions. Now we're gonna move on to my top 10. I somehow did manage to rank them, so we are gonna be going in order, but we're going from number 10. Number 10 on my list of top 10 books of 2022 is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This book fucking ruined me, okay? I felt like I'd gone through the ringer when I read this book. Oh my god, it's like, it's pretty thick, okay? So I had like a lot of material to get through, but it was all so painful. And the ending, it ended on a cliffhanger. This is also the second book in this series. It's The Last Hours by Cassandra Clare. So I can't tell you what it's about, but basically this series is about the kids from the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. I highly recommend all of her books. Some better than others, but nonetheless, I really like her books. I like the world building, whatever. Really enjoyed this book. Also, the cover is gorgeous. Can we just appreciate it for a second? I love this book. Took me by storm. It had a lot of characters that I love show up from other books and stuff like that. So, and this one, I read this one like pretty early into the new year, so that was nice. Also, it has photos inside. Let me find one. Heck yeah. So, that one's my number 10. Let me just put it back now. Number 9 on my list of favorite books is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Listen, I know people don't really like this book of hers. I get it. I understand why. The plot twist was kind of sucky, okay? The reason why these two haven't talked was really, really bad. Well, it wasn't really bad, but it was still kind of bad. It was disappointing. But I loved this book. I loved the journey that it took me on. I love Emily Henry's writing. I really, really liked it. Like, it just made me so happy. And Alex is, like, such a good guy. And it made me so, like, warm inside to read their romance. They were perfect for each other. I love this book. I love it. It's my favorite Emily Henry book. So, there's that. And also a lot of tabs. So, that should also tell you something. This book is basically about Poppy and Alex, and they are childhood best friends. They made, like, a pact every summer to go on a vacation together. And then one vacation, something happens in Croatia, and they haven't talked since. They haven't gone on vacation since. And now Poppy is having some trouble in, like, her workplace and stuff like that, and she's kind of lost in life. And then she ends up texting Alex, and they decide to go on one last vacation together to see if they can rekindle the friendship that they once had. Except it turns into more than friendship, because of course it does. Really good book. I really loved it. There were some really good quotes inside of it too. Like, some quotes made me really sad, and then others made me just really happy. I'm gonna try to find some of my favorite quotes. This is one of, like, it, like, right at the beginning of the book, and it says, "She told me that sometimes when you lose your happiness, it's best to look for it in the same way you'd look for anything else, by retracing your steps." Which is why Poppy goes back to, like, the vacations and stuff like that, because she wants to find herself again. It just has really nice quotes. Okay, number 8 on the list is a series, and I'm putting the whole series in because I can't really choose separate books. Well, I can, but I don't want to because I liked the reading experience as a whole. This is the Shatter Me series by Tara Mafi. I also have Restore Me, and I have none of the other books. They have them at my bookstore now, but they don't match the covers, so I refuse to buy them. But anyways, these two. Okay, the Shatter Me series. I was not expecting to read this series this year. My friend started reading them, and she quite enjoyed them. I was like, oh, well, let me get on that then. I just hit my glasses with my book. chill. I have a reading vlog of when I read this book. I will put it somewhere on the screen. I will try to put it somewhere on the screen so you can access it and watch it and stuff like that if you'd like. I love this book so much. It had so many good quotes. It had so much depth. This first book. People underestimate this book so much. And I know some people don't like her writing. I like her writing. And also it gets a bit better afterward, but like it was good in my opinion, even in the first book. So the plot was great. The characters. I love Kenji and of course Aaron Warner. You can't talk about the series without mentioning Aaron Warner. He's so good. Oh my god, he's so hot. Anyways, my favorite books out of the series, if you were wondering, are Shatter Me, Ignite Me, Restore Me, and Defy Me. Those are my favorites. Despite not giving this one 5 stars, it's still one of my favorites. The other ones that I listed, I did give 5 stars. So, read this series. Coming in at number 7, I think? Yes. At number 7 is Twisted Lies by Ana Huang. Listen, I read the first book only because I really wanted to read the second book. I read the first book. I gave it, I think, 3.25 stars. It was fine. It was fun. Or was it 3.75? I don't remember. It was fun. I didn't really like the conflict and stuff like that, but that's fine. I only started this series so I could read the second book. Started reading Twisted Games, DNF'd it. Couldn't do it. I hated the like switchy timelines. Well, not switchy, but it was like jumping in time. It would be like one chapter. You know what? This video is not about this. I wasn't even going to read Twisted Hate, and I'm still not going to read Twisted Hate because I'm not interested in it. I don't like the enemies with benefits trope, so I'm just not going to read it. But I thought that I would really like this book. And I was fucking right. Oh my god. It's about Stella and Christian Harper. She lives in his building, and they see each other quite often and stuff like that. And she has a stalker, basically. So, and he has a security firm. So they kind of have to like work together and stuff like that. It's also fake dating. It's really fun. I suggest you just go into it blind, because this book is a gem. This is the last book in the Twisted series. I don't think you have to read the other ones to read this one, although other characters from those books will appear. You can just go ahead and read it. I had no problem reading it. But yeah, I really liked this book. I read it really quickly. It is kind of thick. It's like, what, 500 and something pages? But I highly recommend. Also, the cover is still really pretty. Has butterflies and stuff. He calls her Butterfly. He calls her Butterfly. Come on. Please read this book. It's so good. Almost gave it 5 stars, but I didn't. I gave it 4.75 stars. Number 6 on my list is not a book that I own, very sadly, but it is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I gave it 5 stars. Now listen, I read it pretty early on into the year where I wasn't that like into romance. I was just starting to get into it. So if I reread it, I don't know if I'd like it as much, but oh my god, was it so good when I was reading it the first time. It's Marriage of Convenience. It's so good. It's slow burn. It's like a very thick book. It's Mariana Zapata, so that should tell you something. Also, he's a football player, so it's a sports romance. Basically, she was his assistant, and he was really, like, rude to her and stuff like that, so she was like, you know what? I'm fucking over this. Quitting. She quits, and then I think, like, a couple months later or something like that, or a couple of weeks later, he shows up at her door, and he wants to marry her as, like, a marriage of convenience. He wants her back. And she agrees because she has student loans that she needs to pay and stuff like that. And then things just kick off from there. It's a really fun book. It is very slow burn. So if you don't like that, do not pick this book up. Please don't. You will hate it because it's like barely, like, they have moments. Like, don't get me wrong, they have moments together, but they're really small. And it's like building, and then finally it bursts like near the end. Like, that's when the relationship happens. It happens near the end. But yeah, I do really recommend this book though. Aiden is the main character. He's very hot. He is one of my top book boyfriends. I love that man. I love that man. He's so grumpy, but he's a simp. What more could you want? Yeah, I also really liked Vanessa though, so that's also fun. If you like slow burn, Marriage of Convenience, not really the nightmare trope, but similar to that, I'm cracking my fingers, sorry. Similar to that, read the book. I highly recommend it. Can I grab it like this? I can, oh my god. On the 5th spot is Act Your Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This one I gave 5 stars. This one was my favorite out of the series. I love this book. I love the characters. I love the representation. I love everything about it. I love the family dynamics, everything. The setting, it was so fun. You don't understand. Oh my god. I love this book. Basically, our main character, Eve, really can't find her footing in life, can't find what she wants to do. Her parents think she's really immature. She's like, you know what? Fuck it. One night, she's like, after having a talk with her parents, she starts driving around, and then she sees that this guy, what was his name? Jacob. This guy, Jacob, owns a little B&B, and he needs someone to be like the chef at the B&B. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna apply for the job. And right after applying, she hits him with her car. That's not a spoiler. That's literally what happens in like the beginning of the book, and it's what's on the back. So then they're kind of like hate each other. It's kind of enemies to lovers. And it's really fun. And he's really grumpy, and she's really sunshine. And I love her. Look at her. Look at her. She is my baby. I related to this girl so much. It was kind of scary. Also, he has autism, so that's like autism representation, and obviously she's black and stuff like that, and plus size, and yeah, I just really love this book. I recommend the whole series to you. Read the Brown Sisters trilogy. The first book is right here. It's Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I also really liked that one, but it didn't really make it into this list. This one was my favorite. I loved it. Please go read it. Number 4 on my list is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I got this book on a whim. I went to my bookstore, didn't know what I was going in for, and then saw this, and I was like, give me it now. I was actually more interested in reading the second book than the first one, but they only had the first one, so I got the first one. Still haven't read the second book. Why? Because I adore this one. And I'm scared that I'm not gonna like the second one as much as I love this one. I gave this 5 stars so easily. So easily. Do you see this man? Brendan Taggart? My dream man. Oh my god. It's small town. It's grumpy sunshine. It's, she goes to this small town and she's really rich, so she's adapting to the small town, and he's already a resident there. He's a fisherman. I loved this book. The banter was so good. The characters were so good. The development of, I think her name is Piper. Yeah. The development of Piper was so amazing. I love her so much. And there were, like, the actual plot made sense. And the conflict wasn't like that third act conflict that's out of nowhere. Like, it made sense, but they handled it like adults. That's what I like about this book. It didn't infuriate me. It's so good. Basically, I think I already told you, Piper is like this really rich like social media star, but she's not happy about it. She goes to jail one night. Not a spoiler, that's literally what happens at the beginning of the book. She goes to jail one night, and then her stepdad is like, no, like, you can't continue like this. And so he sends her to this little town called Westport in Washington. And she needs to stay there for a while. And her sister goes with her because she's a really good sister. And they decide to renovate this bar that used to be their actual dad's bar. And then she meets Brendan. And then it's enemies to lovers. And it's so fucking cute. It's so cute. Oh my god. I love it. This man is, like I said, dream man. Probably one of my top book boyfriends. If Jem Carsters didn't exist, probably. So, yeah, I love it. Also had really good quotes, and I really liked the writing. It was really witty and funny and stuff like that. So go read it. Okay, top 3. I'm so excited about these because I adore them. By The Missing Book, I think you know what like book series is number 3, but it's Haikyuu, which is a manga series about volleyball. I don't have volume 1 or the other volumes besides 4, 10, 12, 19 and 20, 19 and 21. But this is my favorite character. This is Tsukishima Kei. Basically, it's about volleyball. It's set in high school. I adore this manga. I read it really quickly. I sped run through it. So I ended up finishing it right before the new year. I love this manga. It's a comfort manga. It's a comfort anime. There is an anime. Please watch it if you haven't. If you're looking for something that's easy to watch but also has really good characters and good character development and an actual like good plot and story with like friendships and bonds and stuff like that, I highly recommend this series. It's so good. The overall like series is definitely like a 10 out of 10. I rate manga out of 10, not out of 5, but yeah. There we go. This isn't a spoiler. Look at them. I love them. I love them. Number 2. I did not think that these books were going to be number 2 on the list. Listen, no one's more shocked than me, okay? It's The Predator and the Reaper by Runix, which is a part of the Darkverse series. I cannot explain how good these books are. The writing is phenomenal. The plot is so interesting. Oh my god. It's so good. It's the first 2 books in the series, by the way. So they're a good place to start because they are the first books. They follow one couple, Tristan and Amara. It's enemies to lovers, but like enemies to lovers. It's not like, oh, I don't like you. Well, I guess I kind of like you. No, it's enemies to lovers. And it's a dark mafia romance. Also, I think I already mentioned that when I mentioned the finisher. But anyways, just check trigger warnings before you read it, but I highly recommend that you do read it. It's so good. I am a changed woman after I read those books. I have not been the same. I did order The Predator from Book Depository, so I'm waiting for that to arrive. They didn't have The Reaper, which is my favorite one. That one's my favorite, but I love The Predator too. The Predator I gave 4.75 stars, and then The Reaper I gave 5 stars, so there's that. I didn't put the whole series in because The Annihilator, which is the last book that's out, I really didn't like, so that's why the whole series isn't in here, but just those books. But yeah, god, I love them so much. Oh my god, they're so good. They're so mind-blowing. I did not expect to love the character so much. I didn't expect to love the plot so much. It's just something about it connected with me, which might be kind of terrifying because I mentioned that it's a mafia romance. Not in that way. It's just something about the books that really, really like took me by storm. Highly recommend. Number 1, my top favorite books of 2022, and I'm saying books because there's a lot of them, because I could not pick which series, so I'm putting them all in. I don't care if that's cheating. I don't care if you think it's cheating. It's my list, okay? It is the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series by Kristen Becker-Ritchie and the Like Us series by Kristen Becker-Ritchie. I still can't believe that I own this book. I didn't know about Book Depository, by the way, so I made peace with the fact that I would never own my favorite series, my comfort series of books ever, which is the Like Us series. I made peace that I was never going to own them. And then my friend told me that Book Depository shipped to our country and it's free shipping. And now I own the first book. And I could have cried when I opened it. I cannot explain. I'm going to talk about this series first. This is technically the series you should read after you read the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series, but I read this one first, so I'm going to talk about it first. This is my comfort series. This is my favorite series of all time. This beats every other series I've ever read. This beats the Dark Artifices, this beats all of them. Specifically, this couple, Maximoff and Pharaoh. These are all bodyguard romances, and it's a big series, so know that going into it. Also, you can't read them as standalones. They have one interconnected, like, timeline and stuff like that, so you have to read them in order, but I highly suggest that you do. They're so good. These two are my comfort characters, specifically Maximoff. I love them so much. Basically, he is the son of this couple that's in the Addicted series, Lily and Lo. So he's very famous, and they have their own bodyguards and stuff like that. His bodyguard decides to resign because he wants to spend some time with his family and stuff like that. So he needs another 24/7 like bodyguard. So he gets Pharaoh Keen. This man. He's so hot. He gets that one. And they've known each other since they were little. But they're kind of enemies, but not really enemies. It's just that Maximoff just really doesn't like Pharaoh. And by doesn't like, I mean he has a huge crush on him and hates that he has a crush on him. So he pretends that he doesn't like him. That's what happens. So, go read this series. I love it. I have never seen a healthier couple in a book ever before. And what I like about this series is that none of them have a third act conflict where the couple breaks up or has like a miscommunication trope. Never. There's conflict and it's so fun, but it's never like between these two characters. It's them two against the conflict, which might be my favorite thing in the universe. So you better read this. Okay. So I loved this series, and then I decided that I would read the Addicted Calloway Sisters series, which is like the original series about like their parents and stuff like that. Oh. Crazy. Oh my god, I don't have a book from the Calloway Sisters series, but I'm counting them as one series. I always do because you have to read them interconnected. But yeah, the Addicted series is only about Lily and Lo. Basically, she's a sex addict. He is an alcoholic, and they've been best friends since they were little, like they're childhood best friends, but they're fake dating so they can hide each other's addiction. So basically, it's like really toxic in the beginning because they're like basically enabling each other, and they both have these addictions, and they really like want to fight through them, and then they start actually like liking each other. Well, they have, like, for the longest time, but they finally started admitting it. And then they realize that they can't be together unless they conquer these addictions. And that's where it all takes off. I have never cried so much than when reading their story. Their story is so gut-wrenching and has so many good messages and stuff like that. I can't put into words how much this series means to me. Lily and Lo are so strong, and a lot of good conversations were had about the addictions and stuff like that, and I'm sure it's going to mean a lot more to people who have actually gone through these things. Thankfully, I've not, but oh my god, it's so good. It's so good, and it's so, like, heartbreaking, but they still get their happy end, and nothing could have made me happier than that. It's so good, and I know a lot of people really don't like this series. They think it's trash. It's not trash. You just can't read the first book and then not read the other ones. The first book is when they're literally at their lowest. And it hurts because I need to reread this book so I can annotate it and stuff like that, because they didn't have it at my bookstore when I read it. They only recently had it, and I was shaking when I was buying it. But I'm scared to reread it because I don't think I will ever be able to reread the whole, like, Addicted series again because of how, like, horrifying their story is, but horrifying in, like, I don't want to say in a good way because it's not good. Like, the shit that they go through is not okay. But it's like, oh, I don't know how to explain it, but I love this series so much. Please give it a chance, and don't just read the first one and be like, no, I don't want to read it like the other ones. Read the whole series. Read the Calloway Sisters series. If you like big series, if you like friendships, if you like found family, if you like actual, like, familial dynamics that are so good, like, the Calloway Sisters is about 3 sisters, right? The Calloway Sisters series is about Rose and Daisy, which are Lily's sisters. So that series focuses on their relationships, Rose and Connor and Daisy and Reich. And in case you were wondering, Daisy and Reich are my favorites. I love them so much. Daisy is one of my favorite female protagonists of all time. I adore her. She is my comfort character. I love her so much. But yeah, and then the last book in this series is Some Kind of Perfect, which is kind of like an epilogue novella. So it's a book from all 6 of their perspectives. So Lily, Lo, Rose, Connor, and Reich and Daisy. And that book is definitely my favorite. I love it so much. Although I will say, I cried the most on Long Way Down, which is technically the last book. I was inconsolable. I was inconsolable. I was sobbing. The day after, I had to go on vacation. And I was like, I'm gonna stay up and finish this book because I don't want to cry in the bus. And I ended up crying it until 2 a.m. because I couldn't stop crying. But these characters mean so much to me. All of these characters mean so much to me. They're such comfort characters. And I know it sounds really weird to say it, but I feel like I know them. And I will genuinely never be the same person that I was before I read these books. These books changed me. They changed my whole perspective on life. I'm a better person after reading these books. And when people say like books aren't that deep, yes they are. Yes, they absolutely are. You can't argue that books can change people. There's living proof that they can. I love this whole series. I highly recommend that if you have the time and the patience to please read them. Because I feel like everyone could take away something from these books. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I'm going to keep holding these books because that's all I do every day, basically. So thank you so much for watching. Sorry I haven't been posting. College is preoccupying. But I hope you enjoyed it anyways. Like and subscribe if you'd like. Leave a comment, again, if you'd like. Comments really make me happy. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.